Hey guys, Solomon here. Today I would like to talk to you about Docker and what IBM is doing about Docker, particularly in the bluemix with IBM containers, and how WebSphere fits into Docker. Before I get into this, the first part of the video is going to be around explaining Docker at a high level. I have recorded in the past a kind of more detailed video about Docker, what it brings into the picture. But what I'm going to show you in here is a bit more with kind of what's going on with WebSphere and the cloud and everything else around it. So if you in Docker, before I get into the definition of Docker, what it means, as you know, WebSphere Application Server evolved from being an on-prem only offering into now we have offerings that is available as part of the Cloud Foundry runtime with the Liberty server. It is available as of last year on WebSphere Application Server on Cloud on bluemix. That gives you the ability to easily create application servers. So we are trying to make sure that we fit with what the industry requires, which is kind of a big hybrid cloud picture that we are here, we can run anywhere. Additionally, one of the things that Docker brings in to the table where it becomes very, very useful and beneficial to environments is the ability to allow you to separate your application and the content of your application from the operations that this application needs or the environment. And I'll explain that in a little bit, what that means. But the bottom line is, before I begin, one of the key points that I get a lot of questions from customers on is, does WebSphere support Docker? And the answer is absolutely yes. In fact, not only do we support Docker, but we also have a great relationship, a partnership with the Docker, both the Docker community and the Docker company as well. We have committers on Docker, and we do a lot with Docker as well. And you will see this as part of not just what this video shows, but also if you look at the future announcements of what's going to happen in terms of IBM and Docker. So to give you a quick overview what Docker, I'm going to explain it to you in terms of the challenges that we're facing the community or the IT industry. Too many variables were happening, too many things were going on, and too many combinations. And from being whether it's a public cloud, private cloud, whether you're talking about a static website versus different environments that you're trying to deal with, versus having a database that you need to also certify your application to run with, whether you have your desktop, your VMs, your production, your pre-prod. As you can see, a combination is huge, and it's unrealistic from anybody to expect that every single combination is going to be tested, because that means you will never ship. Where Docker came in is created this portable container. It's lightweight also, that would allow you to put things in it that the operations of that container, the people who manage the container, do not have to worry about the content of it. And it will be basically identical whether you deploy it on your desktop, whether you deploy it on a big server, whether you deploy it in the cloud, let's say on SoftLayer, for example. And that's where it becomes very useful. Developers could deploy what they want or write their application and create their container. Give it over to the ops team. The ops team use the same tools for any container, whether it's a WebSphere container or a DB2 container, it doesn't really matter. And hence, it's going to be a very, very productive way to run your business. To give you an idea of what that means, take a look at, and I explain this typically this is the best way to explain it, is to show the cargo container. Before the cargo container was invented, the industry, before you produce any new thing, whether it's a barrel of oil or whether it's a car or a piano or what have you, you need to make sure that you have the logistics around it. I need to make sure I have the right shipping equipment. I have the right trailers that can haul it because I want to fit these things in it. And that it became very, very complicated. And the more people actually created things, it was just simply an obstacle. So when the container concept was created, we're just going to create this container with different sizes. You can fit whatever you want inside of it. Once you take that container to the operations team, they know exactly how to fit that container on a truck, on a ship, on a train, it doesn't matter because these trains are built to handle these containers with the three sizes. These ships are also being the same way. And that allowed the industry and things to move a lot better, a lot faster, and hence at a cheaper cost as well. So the Docker mission obviously is allow you to build whatever you want, put it in that container, ship it anywhere you want, allow it to run anywhere, and in an easy and efficient way using common tools. What that means, obviously, for when we're talking about developers in here, we're talking about IT operations. The developers will be in charge of their code, their libraries that they ship within that code, the data that they might need to access within that code, the package management of it. So hence they get the freedom to do whatever they want. As a matter of fact, it fits very nicely into this polyglot way of doing business and microservices, which I recorded a couple of videos on this already. I can deploy whichever language I want as long as I put it inside of that container. Somebody could take that container, which is the operations team on the right side, and they can quickly deal with it and deploy it. And they would worry, the operations team would worry about the login, the remote access, the monitoring, the security, and the networking configuration of it. And as you can see, complete separation from the two that allow me to write that code once, deploy it, and put it in that container, and then it will deploy anywhere very easily. So this is kind of a high level of what this is. Let me switch over and show you what IBM have done, because we've done kind of in multiple ways. In the WebSphere application server and other products within IBM, we've added full support for Docker. We allow you to create Docker files if you want. You create the Docker files and deploy the WebSphere application server, whether the Liberty profile or the Liberty server, or the non-Liberty server. But also we went to the extent of incorporating this into our bluemix offering. So for example, if you log into the bluemix offering, you will see on top there is the containers. If I do start new container, you would be given the option of creating multiple containers, whether it's going to be the IBM Liberty container, which is going to come a Docker container that contains Liberty inside of it, or you can have the node, or you can have some mobile starter kit, or of course you can bring your own image if you want to. And this is really nice actually, because it will allow you to take that image, store it into the IBM repository, and allow you to actually be able to push and pull things from that repository very easily. In this instance, I'm just going to walk you through creating a Liberty one because it's WebSphere. So if I click on the Liberty, notice that it gives you the option of doing a single container or a scalable container. If you are interested in creating multiple of them, allow you to do auto recovery. You can enter a lot of information about it, and there's also even more advanced configuration options available to you in terms of the volumes that you want to configure. It's a very easy way for you to do and configure these scalable containers. But let's look at the single one, which is what I want to demo. I can create the space that it needs to be created in. I'm going to call this one Soloman. It's a Liberty container. No, I guess Liberty Docker. And I'm going to pick the size. I mean, we give you a lot of size and a lot of options for sizes. And I'm just going to pick the Pico because just for the purpose of demoing. Notice also that you are given the public ports. As you know, there is the mapping between what's inside of that Docker container and how the outside world can access it. And that gives you that ability. And in this case, for example, I'm just going to pick an IP address. You can either leave it unassigned or you can pick your own IP address to be using so you can access that particular instance. I guess I'm just going to request a new one just for the heck of it here. Okay. This is one. The second fantastic thing that we have that, as you know, bluemix offers you a lot of services. And as you can see in here, if you want to use some of the other services like the caching service, you can actually bind that into that bluemix container to give you the ability to access it. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. You can see the pricing that is available for you to run it, but that's not the purpose of this demo. And I'm just going to create that particular container. While this is happening, take a look at the safe to deploy. One of the things that you worry about when deploying containers or deploying anything is it safe? Is this been hacked? And IBM actually does a lot of stuff by going into and we check for policies and we check for any vulnerabilities in that container, and we will give you our thoughts on it. whether this is something that we feel secure versus none. And this is kind of give you another peace of mind that when it comes to deploying things, because security and on everybody's mind, obviously. And as you can see in here, IBM has done a lot about that. So let's give it a couple of seconds here, a couple of minutes for the container to get created, and we'll see how that looks like after that. All right, and it's back. And as you can see, I have this Web Service Liberty Docker that I created.